Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reading some Am I the Asshole stories while I play a little bit of Minecraft. I read quite a lot of Reddit stories, so I'm trying to find some that I've never heard before that I think sound interesting, and, I'm going to react to it with you guys. Almost 99% of people who watch my channel do not subscribe, so if you enjoy this type of content, please do subscribe, hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. Also, today's goal in Minecraft is to gather some resources and make a starter house. Alright, let's get into the first story. Am I the asshole for having my ex arrested at my wedding? This happened 2 days ago at mine 28 and my wife's 39 wedding, and a lot of people are telling me I'm in the wrong for having my ex 27 arrested, and my wife is saying I ruined the wedding and caused a scene. First, a little backstory on my ex. We were together over 5 years ago for a matter of weeks. I broke things off because I just wasn't into her that much. She began to pester me over text and social media all of the time to get back together or just hook up. This went on for months, and in a particularly weak moment, I gave in and I slept with her again, and at this point, things got a lot worse. I tried to explain that this was a mistake, and I still didn't want anything with her. From then, the messages ranged from abusive to begging me for sex, and eventually I just blocked her. From then, she started turning up at my house, work, and social spaces I went to often. She attempted to force herself on me and threatened violence, and at that point I got a restraining order. Since then, I haven't heard from her in years. I met my wife 3 years ago, and she is honestly the best thing in my life. We fell in love hard and honestly have a great relationship. We got engaged after 2 years, and 2 days ago finally had our wedding. The day was going amazingly until a friend of mine, who I'll call Chris, turned up with his plus one, my ex. I spoke to him and he had absolutely no idea about my history with her, and we tried to get her to leave. After she refused, I decided to ring the police. 2 officers showed up to arrest her for breaking her restraining order, and she flipped out. She was shouting and screaming. She hurled abuse at my wife. I'm not exactly sure what she hurled abuse at my wife means. I assume maybe like she tried to hit her or she said something rude to his wife, and claimed that we were meant to be together, which obviously distracted from our wedding. Now my wife is upset at me for causing a scene, and a lot of our friends are saying that I should have just ignored it and focused on the day, because she wasn't causing any problems up until the police showed up. So am I the asshole? Edit to answer some questions I've had. Yes, my wife knew I had a restraining order against a stalker. We spoke about it when we started to become serious. A few family members also knew, but my friends didn't, as I've never spoken to them about it. This is a pretty crazy thing to have people be split on. It's pretty obvious that he's not the asshole. This ex is a little obsessive, maybe a little bit crazy. And after 5 years, she still cannot get over this guy. And whether it was intentional to go to this wedding, maybe she was just invited by Chris as a plus one and didn't realize that she was going to this guy's wedding. It kind of sounds like she did know, because that just seems like the type of person that she is. I don't think that he's the asshole for quote-unquote causing a scene, because he has a restraining order against her and she showed up to his fucking wedding. So I can understand being upset that like something like this happens at your wedding, because it's a very special day and you don't want things to go wrong. But I think that getting her out of the wedding was the right thing to do, and even if it caused a little bit of a scene, OP can be at peace that his crazy ex is not at his wedding. And I think that that's the more important thing, because he's going to have a much better time, and therefore his new wife is going to have a much better time. So there's an update to this. The original post was 4 days ago, but this new update is from 3 days ago, so this is the next day. I got a lot of requests for an update on my original post, so here it is. It's been a very long day since I first posted, and I haven't spoken to both my wife and Chris. Starting with my wife, we had a very long, tearful conversation about everything from my ex to our wedding. I apologize for the fact that I didn't consider involving her before calling the police, which meant that X's outburst when being escorted out came as a complete surprise to her. She apologized for the way that she reacted and explained that she wasn't angry at me, but is angry at X. The fact that the wedding was ruined and that the focus was shifted away from us to X. Her anger was misdirected. Another reason for the anger is that a lot of guests had no idea who X was, so X's comment of, "we're meant to be together," has apparently led to people theorizing that I had been cheating on my wife with X. So now we're having to put out fires before rumors begin to spread. My wife is now very much focused on making sure I am okay after all of this, though she is still distraught about our special day being ruined, but we will work through that together. On to Chris. This is where things get a little scary. Me and my wife called him together, firstly, to check that he's okay, and he is, and secondly, to see how the hell she's managed to worm her way into his life in order to get to my wedding. According to Chris, they connected over social media. She started liking his posts over the course of about a month, and then DM'd him and started chatting from there. The crazy part is that to Chris, X has a completely different name, but the posts on her profile dated back to 3 years, meaning that she's had this profile with a fake name for at least 3 years, and it's not the only one. Chris told us that a few other guys contacted him after the wedding saying that they recognized her, as they all had also gotten DMs from her on different accounts, all with different names. There's at least 3 other accounts that we are currently aware of. Apparently X showed no signs of being obsessed with me or even that she knew who I was. He invited her as a +1 thinking that they might eventually get serious as they were having a really good time together. He's apologized profusely, but we have made it clear that we don't blame him for this. There has been no word currently on what's going on with X, but considering her breaching the restraining order and resisting arrest, we assume she'll probably end up in prison. Me and wife have spoken about it, and if we are contacted by the police, we will absolutely press charges, and wife will also be getting a restraining order. For now, we're going to try and enjoy our honeymoon and deal with the rest of this mess when we get back. Thank you, Reddit, for all of the advice and opinions. You gave a lot of perspectives on the situation that I had not considered. Okay, so this seems like a pretty happy ending. I'm glad that OP and his wife were able to talk about things, and it's very obvious that it's really no one's fault, and it was just a little bit of miscommunication. And now that they're on the same page, and Chris is on the same page, everyone's good. The X seems to be in jail, so that's also good. So yeah, this seems like an overall happy ending. Really good first story. Alright, so now that I've gathered a decent amount of resources, I'm gonna start building my house. I think I'm gonna go with like a nice, cozy little cottage, I guess you would call it. And I think I'm gonna try a gradient. I'm gonna go from oak to birch, and we'll see how it looks. I think it might look bad, but I don't know. I'm gonna try and make it work. Alright, so this next story is, would I be the asshole for canceling my wedding? Tomorrow is me, 24 male, and my soon-to-be wife, 22's wedding. We just found out a couple of hours ago that her grandmother got into a serious accident while on her way to us for the wedding. She was pronounced deceased at the scene. My wife is still very distraught about this and very emotional. Not even an hour after she got the news, she was called by her sister, telling her not to cancel or postpone the wedding because their parents paid too much money. There was no attempt to ask if she's okay or to comfort her. She's obviously not in the right state of mind to make a decision. I feel like canceling the wedding for now to give my wife time to grieve. I just don't know if it'll be the right decision. So this is a really hard decision to make, obviously, because everyone is there and has spent a lot of money and it's supposed to be a really happy day, but it doesn't look like it can be that way at all. I feel like if you have the wedding, there's gonna be like no way to make it be a positive day, and they could do an impromptu celebration of life for the grandmother if they really don't want to postpone or cancel the wedding just because everyone spent so much money to be there. I feel like canceling the wedding and just enjoying each other's company would be a good idea as well. I mean, this is just really tough. The top comment says, if there are already people in town for the event and the venue can't be canceled and refunded, etc., Tell your fiance that if she isn't up for the wedding, then you can just keep the celebration open to anyone who wants to attend as a celebration of her grandmother's life, and you can get hitched later at the courthouse or something. Make it about her and how she feels and what she's capable of doing right now. Then the money isn't wasted. Goes to a good cause of honoring grandma, and she isn't under pressure. This is basically what I said. This is a very good idea. I think you should take advantage of the things that you have right now, the venue, and, everyone's in town. I think that it's just a good idea to just switch it to a celebration of life, because this is a horrible chain of events that's happened, and it's good that they can somehow salvage it in a good way that allows for people to celebrate this grandmother's life. Okay, don't get mad at me that the gradient looks bad right now. I know. I'm going to extend the gradient up a little higher so the oak has a little more room. The little piece of wood that's going to be visible on the roof under these logs that go across the roof is also going to be birch, so that's going to make the halfway point a little better. I think it's coming along decently well. I'm also you're gonna see me try these extended ended logs, the ones on the end are going to be longer. It does not look good. I'm going to change it, don't worry. Alright, next story is, am I the asshole for leaving my sick girlfriend at the hospital because I needed to vomit? For context, I've been dealing with a stomach issue for the last couple of months, and a couple times every day I've been retching and throwing up. Around 10 p.m. she calls me and tells me that she's feeling a sharp pain in her abdomen. She's worried that there could be something seriously wrong with her. So I take it urgently, and we head over to the nearest emergency room. However, when we were a couple of minutes away, I started feeling nauseous again like I normally do, but I tried to tough it out, and I dropped her off. While I was trying to find somewhere to park, I realized that this is urgent, and I'm going to have to puke. So I pulled over and emptied my guts all over the road. To give some more context, this emergency room was only 5 minutes away from home, and I knew that I would have to vomit everything out of my stomach in order to feel well enough to walk in. So I decided to drive back home, throw up as much as I can, and take a nausea med. Right about when I got home, she texted me to ask if I could come in, and then she checked my location and saw that I was home. She promptly sent me a bunch of very angry text messages and then blocked me on everything before I could even explain myself. I texted her before I left that I was feeling very nauseous and was right about to let her know I was going to be back in 10 when she texted me. I found out that she is potentially facing some urgent health issues, and I feel horrible about leaving. Am I the asshole? Update. It's 4 a.m. right now, and we're leaving the hospital now. I drove over to go see her and apologized and explained myself, and we seem to have made up. I appreciate all of the helpful and honest comments. Helped me gain a better perspective of the situation. Alright, so since we have this update and we see that things have mostly been resolved, we don't know the specifics of the resolution, but I think where I lie on this is that OP has some communicated chronic illness, something to do with his stomach where he has to throw up a lot, and I'm sure that his girlfriend knows this, but obviously when you're in the hospital and you have something going on that's really urgent and serious, you're probably not thinking about that, and you probably have very heightened emotions, and that seems to be what happened. She wasn't really thinking straight and just didn't want to hear anything and just blocked him on everything. If I had to guess, it probably wouldn't be very long until she unblocked him. Maybe she just needed a second and didn't want to blow up in his face. It seems like no one's really the asshole here. Top comment says, I think her blocking you immediately without letting you explain herself was rash, but come on dude, you were already at the hospital. You can puke at the puke place. They kind of already deal with that. Also, if you've been puking daily for several months, it sounds like you could have benefited from that visit too. You're the asshole. Another comment says, not the asshole, but why didn't you go puke in the hospital? And I agree with the others, you need medical help. Yeah, I can see this. I can definitely see that he probably didn't have to go home to throw up. It's reasonable that maybe he couldn't be in there in the room with her because he needed to throw up. I don't think that was a problem. But yeah, he probably could have gone into the hospital to throw up instead of going home. He probably wasn't thinking straight either, because this is a very serious situation, and going home to throw up and get it all out of his system would make him feel the most comfortable at the hospital. They also live pretty close to the hospital. He said that they were about 5 minutes away. So if anything, he's probably only gone for like 20 minutes. And that is a long time when it comes to the ER. Either way, I don't think anyone's the asshole here. The situation could have been handled better, but I don't think that makes him the asshole. Alright, so now that I'm done with the outside, besides the detailing, I'm gonna do the floor and the roof. I first start out doing the floor as birch, as checkered birch, but I think that doesn't match with the oak being at the bottom. I think it needs to be like the roof. So I end up making what I do right now as the floor into the roof. And then you'll see what I actually do with the floor in a second. I think after I add a few little details on the interior and exterior, this is going to be a great looking little starter house. Moving on to the next story. Am I the asshole for ruining a hibachi dinner? I, 54 female, and my husband, 49 male, have been together for over 20 years. He's been out of work, but I make enough to keep us going. Last week was rough for me at work. I was initially blamed for something my predecessor did. It got straightened out, but there was a lot of meetings, calls, and emails, and I was scared I could lose my job. So Friday night, I just wanted a quiet night at home. My husband wanted to go to his favorite hibachi place. We don't go out to eat much anymore, but I was so tired. He kept pressing, saying, all you have to do is sit there and eat. So I said okay. The hibachi place was loud and crowded, but being just the two of us, we didn't want to wait long, and we were seated with a boisterous group of 6. The chef came out and he started cooking. He looked at me and asked if I was okay. I nodded and said, yes, I'm fine, thank you. He nodded and just started bantering with the group of 6. A few minutes later, the chef again asked if I was okay. I assured him, yeah, I'm good. And then he said, you don't look like you feel good. I've been told that I have a resting bitch face. So I tried to smile and said it again, that I was fine. When the chef turned back to the group of 6, he grinned and then looked at me yet again, and this time said, are you mad? I was taken aback and said, nope. He mugged the group of 6, and then he said to me in a comic voice, are you sure you're not mad? Are you mad at me? The group of 6 chuckled. One of the women in the group of 6 then said, oh, don't worry about her, she's just... ... Here's where I may be the asshole, because I didn't hear what she actually said after that. There was a burst of noise that, for me, drowned her out. All I know is that after she finished her sentence, the chef and the group had a hearty laugh while looking at me. I was feeling so beat up from the week, I was mortified to feel myself turning red and tearing up. So I told my husband to box up my food because I'd be waiting in the car for him. I was getting out of my chair when my husband hissed at me to sit down and stop making a scene. I said, I'm not going to sit here and be made fun of. My husband said, nobody's making fun of you, just eat your dinner. I ended up sitting through the rest of the meal in the restaurant. The mood at the table turned very sedate. Communication became hushed voices and gestures. Nobody hung around long after the food was distributed, and pretty much everyone, myself included, just put everything in to-go boxes and left. In the car, my husband complained that I had ruined dinner. I asked him what the woman said about me after the don't worry about her, she's just... And my husband would only say it was nothing and it wasn't anything to get mad about. I kept after him to tell me exactly what she said, and he finally admitted that he hadn't hurt her either. But it didn't matter. It wasn't worth me ruining dinner for the whole table. Am I the asshole? Oh, my cat's here now. Hello, kitten. You might hear him rustling around. Yeah, it doesn't seem like she's the asshole. It doesn't seem like anyone really cares about if she was having a good time or even wanted to be there. It just seemed like her husband just wanted to go to dinner and didn't care what she thought and pressured her into going when she had had a long week and didn't want to do anything. And then they got forced to sit next to this lovely bunch of people who just immediately started teasing her. And even the chef was doing it. It's crazy. It seems like just a really awkward situation that could have easily been avoided if they had just stayed home. And it doesn't help that OP's husband is just blaming it on her, even though she never wanted to go there in the first place. This one sentence where OP says, I was getting out of my chair when my husband hissed at me to sit down and stop making a scene, is crazy. OP's husband has no intention of backing his wife up at all. Dude's just like, get a load of my wife making a scene. Ugh. Am I right, guys? Yeah, this seems like a clear not the asshole. Let's read the top comment. Not the asshole, your husband definitely was for insisting on going out despite you not wanting to. And I know the hibachi chef was probably just trying to do his job, but he could have also read you better and tried to not engage with you after you pushed back twice. The response under that says, the chef probably doesn't have to deal with a lot of people who've been arm twisted into eating out. I'd guess his routine is usually helpful for patrons to shake off a slightly bad mood. The next response says, you're probably right, which makes it all the more stupid for her husband to have twisted her arm like that. Good lord. All you have to do is sit there. What the fuck? Obviously that's not all she had to do. And the fact that he didn't change his tune when that became apparent shows that this was way more of a selfish move than a real misunderstanding. Yeah, I forgot that he said that part. All you have to do is sit there. That's not what you do at a hibachi place. Hibachi is very interactive. The chef is like trying to make jokes and do little tricks with everyone at the table. You can't just like sit there and not interact, because then the chef is going to do some shit like he did. It's not like a normal restaurant where the server just comes by every once in a while and asks how your meal is. The chef is like fully engaged throughout the entire meal. So it's really dumb that they went out when OP didn't want to go out at all, let alone going to a hibachi place when OP doesn't want to go out. That's like the last restaurant that I would want to go to if I was in a bad mood. Hibachi's really fucking good, don't get me wrong. I just would probably choose somewhere less interactive to go to. So now we're in the last stages of adding little details to the inside and outside. I really like these bushes and flowers that I got going, and I think I add a little more wood, like fences and trapdoors to the outside as well. And once I add a little something on the top, because I think that it's missing a little bit of texture on the top, I think it looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really proud of myself because I just kind of did this off the cuff, and I think it's looking really good. Alright, this is the last story. Am I the asshole? I was uninvited from a wedding 1 week prior despite planning her bachelorette. Told bride to cover my portion of the bachelorette cost. I have a friend that I've known for more than 15 years who is getting married. We aren't best friends, but we have a lot of history. Her engagement lasted 2 years and she got engaged twice to the same man because the first engagement was not what she hoped for. I had heavily advised her boyfriend back then to get another ring and plan another engagement after he voluntarily told me about his plans and asked for advice, but he wouldn't listen. I tried really hard for multiple days, but he insisted. She constantly complained about him and the engagement for 1 year, and after her second engagement to him, she shifted gears and was suddenly obsessed with him. Everyone had to pretend that her first engagement didn't happen. Over the years, she has complained about her boyfriend/fiancé so many times to me and had many doubts, but she never left and was suddenly acting like he's the love of her life. Right at the time of her second engagement, I got chronically ill and had to cancel several appointments, but always explain that. I made it to one dress shopping appointment, but not the second. She always claimed that she knows and understands my symptoms, but she does not have a chronic illness, and I suspect she actually thinks I'm lying about them and making excuses. I haven't been able to work for almost a year now because of it. She never really checked in, asked about me, etc., so I realized I don't need to go above and beyond with limited energy when she doesn't really care, but I tried my best. Fast forward to now, I co-planned and co-paid for her bachelorette, but couldn't attend because of my illnesses. A couple of days after the bachelorette party, she wrote a message saying she can't cope with any uncertainty around her wedding, that she felt I didn't make enough effort, and that she has decided I will not be part of her day because of it, which is a finalized decision. She didn't say anything more specific. It actually sounded like a corporate termination email overall. She wished me well, but she needs clarity leading up to her wedding. I had RSVP'd in January. It is now May. Back in January, I received the e-invite 2 days before the RSVP deadline, so maybe she never wanted to invite me, but then chickened out. Our last message before her uninviting me was her wishing me a happy birthday, so it really came out of the blue. I was mad and told her that if she wanted to uninvite me last minute after not saying anything before that, she should pay for my part of the bachelorette cost. In addition to that, my partner had to take off PTO because she's getting married on a Friday, and I had to buy a dress for it because she had a specific color dress code. I just wanted to get some compensation after she uninvited me 1 week before the event. So this was posted 18 hours ago, so I don't think we're gonna have an update for if she did get the money back or if she got any compensation. But definitely not the asshole. She didn't really do anything wrong, she just has a chronic illness, and her friend who is having the wedding just didn't want to deal with it, but waited way too long to do anything about it, which is incredibly rude. I don't understand why she had to be removed completely from the wedding, and I don't know why she couldn't have just been like a normal guest at the wedding. Why does she have to be completely uninvited because she has an unpredictable chronic illness that she can't control? I mean, I think that this is sort of a blessing in disguise. Besides the money stuff, I don't think that you would want to go to this wedding knowing this information now. It really does suck that OP is probably not going to get compensation for any of this, so that's a lot of money down the drain. But I mean, hey, like, you have a cool dress that you can wear to something else. It's not horrible. OP's partner had to take off PTO. We don't know how much PTO time, but I think that, you know, you could turn this into a good thing. You guys can do something with that PTO time. Yeah, I don't know why this post is even in Am I the Asshole, because there's no way that OP would be the asshole in this situation for having a chronic illness that their friend just didn't want to fucking deal with. Let's read the top comment. You're not the asshole, but you're never getting your money back from your high-maintenance, impossible-to-please ex-friend. Probably true. What's the next top comment? Not the asshole. You did nothing wrong. You're not going to get any compensation back from her, though. Don't expect it. Cut your losses now. Her marriage is not going to last long either. Maybe a year, if that. She's not your friend. The dress you bought can still be worn elsewhere, and you could possibly alter it. Consider this a life lesson and move on. Don't waste any more time or energy on this vapid ex-friend. Yeah, seems pretty conclusive to me. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed these stories. If you did enjoy this video, please leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I'd really appreciate it. I'm definitely going to be making more of these videos in the future. If you have any suggestions for Reddit stories, leave them in the comments. I will check them out. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night.